Moonshotters. Mike coming at you from Moonshots MLB, the site formerly known as Moonshots DFS. Some of you have probably been aware of us since back in 2020, which was our inaugural season. Here we are back preparing for a very successful 2023 season. Lot to share, lot to cover. Some new things happening with the site, the content, and so on. So let's get into it. I've got an agenda here, sort of talking points I want to kind of run down through, such as, our mission. Like, why are we doing this? Like, what are we about? Like, why are we building this for you, the users? Like, what's the site? What's the usage of it? The general site flow. Again, how can you interact with the site, the grids, the tools? I want to bring awareness to what pages and data sets are available to you. Subscriptions, we'll talk through what we typically have for subscriptions. It's pretty simple, nothing too confusing with them. But we also have the free plan as well, which gives you access to the entire site as well. And I'll kind of explain what that means later on. And then what's next? Like, what's on the horizon? I mentioned moving to MLB versus DFS. So, kind of what does that mean for the site? Like, what are we trying to do or accomplish with that? What's our purpose behind that change? And partnerships and collaborations, those types of things. So there's a lot, again, coming up on the horizon. And we'll talk through some of what those specifics are and some things that I simply can't mention just yet. But there's a hint there. There's a partnership coming up that I'm very anxious and excited to announce. I think it's going to benefit many of us. And the subscribers are going to love this. So a couple of disclaimers. First of all, as I go through this, the site flow, I'm going to showcase some things here on the site. It does seem a bit slow today, and I have narrowed it down to resources on my laptop, actually. So as I'm recording this with the setup that I have, it's a bit slower for some reason. So hopefully you take that as a valid reason and not some lame excuse. I think most of you have experienced a site where it's more snappy. I have. So hopefully that's just related to the software, the recording software that I'm using, the setup that I have. So future videos maybe without my face, just to reduce the camera that's being used, maybe cut down some of the CPU usage that I'm seeing, which is actually a fact. I am seeing that. Disclaimer number 2, kind of in line with that. I love MLB data. I love all things baseball, software development. That's been a great blend for me. So hopefully you see the passion and the excitement all come out in what you experience with the site. And you take that as what Moonshots is about, and not so much based on the production quality of this video, which is the inaugural video of Moonshots MLB. So I'm not a video guy. I'm not looking to be a YouTube influencer. I have my lighting setup is probably a $6 lamp from IKEA. I have a cheap webcam with a microphone that may or may not work all the time. So I'm doing my best with what I've got in front of me here. At least wanted to get some videos out to help showcase and highlight and give you all an explanation of like what's going off the site, how to use it, and kind of get to know me as well. So I'm looking forward to interacting with many of you, as I have over the last 3-4 plus years as the site has become a thing. So again, I appreciate it, and I guess let's dive in. So our mission. So what is Moonshots? Like, what's our why? Really, it's you think about as most of you have done DFS and other things. You want to you have a place where you go first. I want to be that place where you go first. So having a one-stop shop for the DFS specific data, the things that go, the supplementary data, like you got your weather, you got your umpires, you've got a whole host of things that go into analyzing what those plays might be for that day, or just all the way to the person that wants to sit there 24 hours a day and study data, to the other extreme where you have somebody that doesn't have a lot of time and just wants to come and get, kind of the, answers to the test, if you will. So I want to see the community grow in that regard as well. And we simply couldn't do this without your support. We've had a tremendous support over the past, 3+ years since we went live. Been a lot of loyalty, and I without a doubt, it's going to grow. There's lots of new tools and data sets being added, new functionality and features. And a lot of that's just going to be based on and dependent on feedback from all of you too. So if there's things that you want to see, let me know, and I'll talk a little bit more about that too in the closing part of this. What do we bring to the table? Kind of what I mentioned briefly a moment ago is that the data. So aggregated, enriched data, so like StatCast data. We got sports books that are becoming obviously very, very popular. So with DraftKings feeds, there's some other sports books and betting specific things that we've also started building in, and there's going to be new things that come along with time as well. So we'll start getting into the sports books flavor and have some of those tools that you come to expect on other sites and wherever else as well. Other metrics and tools. I think we set the bar pretty high on what we offer as far as like interacting and engaging with the data, being able to find something quickly, having links that take you to other relevant places, being able to quickly find the relevant data, and really, giving you answers before you even know what questions to ask. So if you come across something, graphs are a great example of this, where you might be looking for, maybe you're studying a pitcher for some reason, and you notice on his graphs on his player page, which we'll see at another time, that maybe the usage on one of his pitches has, dropped or increased or been eliminated. So bringing those things to the forefront, so you're not having to go, hunt for things. That's where we're at, and that's where we're going. We're going to expand on that and raise that bar even higher. There's some parts of this that I will likely go through pretty quickly. The purpose of this video is to be an overview. There's going to be deeper dive videos that are going to be specific to a page on the site, or a tool or feature that's on that page, or those tools or features that are spread across the site as a whole. So after this video, there'll be 2 or 3 more videos coming that are very specific to parts of the site, such as how to use the projections in Optimizer. That's a great example. So with that, let's get into kind of looking at the site. What we're going to do here is kind of go through some really high level, I guess it's the housekeeping things. So there's some general things here that you should probably be aware of. We see conditional formatting on here. We see the reds and the greens. We'll talk a little bit about what that means. So with the reds and greens and the light greens and the light pinks or the light reds, and where there's no color, those represent the percentile ranking for that particular stat for that player. So an example here would be Cabrian Hayes, 12.4% K rate versus left-handers. He ranks in the 90th percentile in K rate versus left-handers, not so much versus right-handers. So when you see the reds and the greens, green represents the 90th percentile. And again, that's either good or bad depending on what stat you're looking at. And then you have the light green, which is the 70th percentile. The no color puts you in neutral. You're in between I think the 40th and the 60th percentile, and then on down. So the reds and the pinks get you in the 10th and the 30th percentiles respectively. So again, depending on the stat you're looking at, red might be really good or it might be really bad, depending on what you're looking at. So those conditional highlightings can also be turned on and off, and we'll talk through about that a little bit later on too, when we get to the My Profile page, where you have some of your some settings that you can toggle some things on and off. Light and dark theme. Down here in the footer, we've got this dark mode. So if I click that, I'm currently in light mode. We'll see this. Let me click it again. We'll see this change to our dark mode theme, which applies to the entire site. So it's simple and easy. Sometimes this is tough on certain people's eyes. I understand that. There are some opportunities that we're looking at to bring in maybe some other themes too that we can apply across the site as well. So you don't have just light and dark. You may have some other, like a black is something that I'm looking at as well. I think it'd be very, very cool. But the point is, you have a very easy toggle here to jump back and forth between light and dark, and then have those pages represented accordingly. The grids, you see the grids on nearly every page on the site. So what I'm going to do here is go to the stats in the menu, hitter stats. I'm just picking this one more so at random, just because it's a grid that has a lot of data on it. And you kind of see what I'm talking about as far as like the sorting, filtering, and some other aspects that the grid has to offer. And you probably saw they're a little bit slow on the loading too. So definitely having some resource constraints here with the machine today. Okay, so on these grids, nearly every grid on the site has the ability to filter and obviously sort. Sorting is easy, right? You click on the header, it's going to sort accordingly, right? So filtering, very similar. You can click on the header. What you do is hover over the header. So for example, if I wanted to filter out plate appearances for guys that have more than 75 plate appearances, I'm going to hover over until I see that little, I guess it's a stack or a hamburger. You click that, and then you get your pop-up here where you can select, greater than or equals, very like what you would use in Excel. Very common. 75 plate appearances, filters accordingly. I do have some quick filters in here as well. So up here we have these you can click. Let me reload this page here too. You can kind of see that happen in real time as well. So what this page is, it's the split. So we have each hitter, the versus lefty, the versus righty, and their total stats. So if I want to see how they did just versus lefties, or all players, how they did versus left-handed pitchers, I can click that, and it's going to filter out. So here's how they all did versus left-handers. Maybe you want to see just the Braves hitters. So again, I can filter, hover over that till I get the hamburger, click it, and then I can just start typing here. Or if you want to do it kind of the hard way, you can unselect and then check any combination of teams that you want to see. Pretty simple. On the left-hand side here too, we've got a collapsible task, a task pane. Does the exact same thing. So the same functionality you have here across these grids as far as filtering within the header, you can also do in this taskbar. So for example, I want to, I see I've got the Braves here because that was part of my selection before. I selected the Cards and Cubs. Let's unselect the Cardinals. Okay, we see them be removed from our data set. Same with the Cubs. And then I go back up here and select all. I have them all. Removing columns, do the same thing as well here. So just unselect columns if you don't want to see something. I don't want to see DK points, for example, or the game time, batting order, that type of thing. You can do that from this column. An easier way to do this is you can drag and move that column header out. So if I don't want to see salary, I can grab that and just drag it up out of here. I don't want to see BABIP, drag it out of there. Home run, fly ball, percent, drag it out of there. Okay. One point to make here though, that will not save, at least yet, that will not save to like your user profile. So if I were to reload this page, those columns will return. It's in the backlog. Not sure when or even if, to be honest with you, we'd get to it. But the idea here is that we'd be able to have the users, save those, like basically remember those column selections or ones that they remove, so you have the same state every time you come back to this page. Kind of the same goes with like reordering too. So if I want to walk percent before K percent, I can just drag and drop and move that. However, it won't remember that. Next time you reload this page, it'll be back to the default state. So keep that in mind. We don't have a save mechanism just yet. It is being looked at, but not quite high on the priority list just yet. Okay, hyperlinks on grids. I hate to call these Easter eggs, but I've interacted with a number of people over the past year and a half or so, and I've come to find out that there's a number of places here in the site that I've inadvertently put in Easter eggs. It wasn't deliberate. It was like there's certain things on the certain pages that are meant to do, like perform a function, like perform some other filtering, or put you on a different page on the site or a different place on that page. And there's a lot of folks that didn't even realize that even existed. I think even something as simple as this, I think has been lost on the users too. So apologies there, but like these names that you see in the grids, these are also hyperlinks directly to the player page. So if I were to click any one of these, let's just go to, here's Trout. We'll go to Mike Trout's player page. So again, it's just a hyperlink, takes you out to their player page, which again gives you a lot more data to look at. And again, we're not going to go through each one of these pages in depth. That's going to be another video, or actually a series of videos where we'll talk through like the different things on each one of these pages. But while we're here, one point I did want to make, since I just talked about some of those Easter eggs, this is a great page to provide some examples of what I mean. Here we have Trout's trends section, right, over the last X days, the last 365 days, 60, 30, 15, and 5. Okay, these are hyperlinks here, meaning when you click on one of these, it executes a function that will filter out something. Now, what does that mean? It means if I want to see what he's done over the last 30 days, I click 30, and it's going to filter out his game log representing what those 30 days were. So in that 30-day span, here's his 24 games that he played in that 30-day span, right? So there's some things in here, these dates, for example, if I want to see, against the Guardians, he put up 16 DK points, he went deep, he had a home run. So I can click this. So on September 12th, 2022, I click that, and it's going to take me down to his pitch log, where I can now see all pitches, pitch by pitch, what he's seen in that game. So again, there's some shortcuts in here that will kind of help you get to some meaningful, deeper data dives, if you will. So we'll cover this again in another video, but I at least wanted to point out that there's some things on these pages that maybe if you haven't been curious enough or haven't even noticed it, yeah, they exist. There's some interesting and sometimes very cool features on these pages. Kind of gonna go through the menu items here just for awareness, so you are aware of what we have here as far as pages. I think most of you know when you log into the site or land on the site from some other link, especially if you have to log in. This is the default page. You're going to hit the lineups first. So here's our lineups page. Again, we've seen this at the opening with the conditional formatting. These lineups do update in near real time. They auto refresh. Again, not going to go into a ton of detail on this page, but there's some various functionality and things on here too that we'll cover in another video. Moving on to the dashboards. So a couple items in here in the dashboard menu. We've got the matchups dashboard. And this one is kind of your first look for that particular day or that day's worth of games. And you see a lot of red or empty data in here. Well, that's because we're in off season. We don't have active bullpens right now. We don't know who they are, and we don't have lineups projected or confirmed versus those pitching hands over the last 15 days. So that's why you're seeing kind of some weird things here. That's normal. There's nothing happening right now. However, we do have, we've got the game time. You got your slate selector up here, so you can select whatever DraftKings or FanDuel slate that you're interested in. We've got our matchups, where it's being played, the venue, the weather feed that also updates every few minutes throughout the day. It's actually going right now. It's live right now. That's why you see a lot of cold temps down the line here. Away pitcher and home pitcher. Again, hyperlinks directly to their player pages. The bullpens. I won't go into too much detail on that now. Again, that's going to be for another video. I want to talk a little bit more in detail about the bullpen data that we offer. It's actually kind of cool, I think, if you're excited about relievers, which I kind of am. It's pretty neat. We've got umpire data, with again some metrics that are determining, like, are they moderate, or are they extreme, leaning heavy towards the pitcher versus hitter or whatnot. DraftKings Sportsbook. I mentioned Sportsbook stuff earlier. This entire section can be hidden, and that'll be in your My Profile page, where you can turn that off if you desire. We'll show that here in just a little while. But what we have here is the DraftKings Sportsbook feed coming in, and so you can see the money lines, the run lines, the odds, the favorites, whatnot, the over-unders for those for each one of those games. Those also will have the hyperlinks directly to that event on the DK Sportsbook app or site, depending if you're using your phone or on the desktop. And then park factors. These are essentially StatCast values for their park factors metrics. At the bottom here, we've got each offense laid out and how that projected or confirmed lineup would has fared against that pitching hand. So this isn't the entire team. This is the 9 guys in that projected or confirmed lineup. And I've got the projected or the confirmed lineups loaded in right now. That's why you're seeing this data here. So here's the confirmed lineups, the 9 guys, how they fared against that particular pitching hand that they were facing that day. And then you'd see the same thing, only this would be the data based on the last 15 days for that same group of 9 players. So again, it's not the entire team total, which is really nice to have. And then kind of scrolling across, it gets kind of busy over here, but there's a lot of data, a lot of colors. We have the pitcher they're facing, that pitcher's salary, DraftKings salary, and DraftKings points, and then how they their metrics or data against their splits against lefties and then righties. Admittedly, this one's a little hard to look at. There's a lot going on here, but the data's there if you want to spend some time kind of staring at it and going through it. It can be useful depending on what you're trying to uncover. Moving on into the other dashboard item we have. This one's going to load kind of slow, even beyond what the slowness issues we're having now, just because there's a lot that's being fed up into this page. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about here in a moment once this does load. This is very cool. This was a tool that I released, I think, probably close to mid-season last year, so it didn't get a lot of attention, it didn't get a lot of promotion. I think it's going to be very useful going forward. There's things I want to add to this as well. So these are the probable pitchers for that day, and obviously this day's been played. We got Wednesday, September 14th loaded in, just to have something to look at. The pitchers here, obviously not probable, they started. What we can do here is, let's assume this is a slate we're looking at. We want to kind of scan through and look for some things that jump out at us. Remember back when I mentioned kind of giving you something to kind of see without you having to go look for it. You might not know even what you need to ask. That's kind of where this is headed, and sort of where some of it's even at, is being able to scroll through. Let me expand graphs. I mentioned it loads kind of slow. There's a lot going on behind the scenes as that page loads. It's these graphs. So as you scroll through, you can quickly identify a few things. We've got, Roansy Contreras, we've got his data for the last 6 games. Here's the game logs for those 6 games. And then we've got 3 graphs that help tell some bit of a story. His pitch usage. So we might notice something where, okay, his four-seamer over the past few games, the usage has dropped off from where he was previously in the season. And maybe it's been replaced by the slider. The slider's ticked up. So you might see things like that. Same with velocity, where you'd be able to, fastball velocity dropping. This wasn't by design. I didn't set this up on a tee to show you this. I just came across this myself in looking at this. So you can kind of notice things like that simply just by scrolling through the pitchers for that day, the probables or the confirmed starters for that day, and kind of seeing if something jumps out. Certainly with like their last 6 games, you might notice if someone's had a huge increase or decrease in their K rate or their walk rate, for example. Maybe something's, it might give you, a piece of information that maybe it warrants looking into further. Maybe there's something going on there. Maybe something has changed in his arsenal. Maybe there's an injury that's happening or that he's been experiencing. So those types of things are really useful for this page here. Again, another site or another video. We'll talk through more on some more detail about some of the things in here. Articles. We've had some folks helping us along the way in writing content. Obviously, it's all been really DFS specific up until this year. We're getting into some more of like just general MLB things, like there's some off-season rundowns here that talk about some of the transactions, some of the trades that have occurred. We've got some best ball content coming. We've got an overview here, including some new things that are coming here in the next, I think, week or two with some more best ball content, more specific to like drafts and rankings and those types of things. So we do have a nice library of articles. We produce these almost daily during the season. We typically don't miss a day. We do expect to have that and more coming this season as well. Podcasts. So we've got Spotify and Apple here. And what these are is many thanks to Dan Strafford, who's also part of our Moonshots team, putting together some podcasts last year. Not sure how often, like the cadence of these. Dan will do these when he can, when he wants. We'll have some DFS, maybe some other baseball-related podcasts throughout the season as well. But this is being put on by Dan and by way of The Dish. So that's Dan's podcast, and not promoting Moonshots here either. I'm promoting The Dish. Go give Dan's podcast a listen. He does really great work, and I'm super proud and excited and really even humbled to have him helping out with what we're doing here at Moonshots. Projections, very popular page, of course, throughout the season. Again, won't go into a ton of detail on this. We're going to have a video dedicated to this page and then how we use the optimizer that you would launch from this page as well. But what the projections page gives us is the player projections. We can filter. We've got DraftKings and FanDuel. If I want to pick a particular slate, we'll pick that 8-game DraftKings slate. It removes my FanDuel columns. Now I only see the DraftKings data along with the projections for those players, who they're facing, batting order, opposing team, who the umpire is, points distribution for DraftKings, so you can kind of see over time how have they fared as far as their points, like the distribution of their outcomes. Optimizer over here, I won't go into that right now. Again, I'm really going to focus on that in an upcoming video. Stacks. So here's the teams that with the the top 5-man, 4-man, or 3-man stack for DK. So you can quickly see, like we're doing, the best points per dollar. Again, I just clicked on that header to sort that. So you can sort ascending or descending depending on what you're trying to look for. So this will tell me that on this particular slate, the Oakland Athletics had the best 5-man stack point per dollar. You might look at, the average points, the Dodgers come out on top all the way down to like a 3-man stack. So you're trying to identify like which stack might be the best one to first target or at least look at. That's a good place to go. And then down here in the daily launch menu, very, very popular. This is our home run calls for the day, which is based on a number of metrics. That's part of what the projections are also built on. But this thing's been pretty solid. This year we have the DK odds feed coming in. So we'll have the odds on, if that player hits a home run or not from DK. And again, that'll be a hyperlink directly to that event on the DK site, DK Sportsbook site. And then kind of more of the same over here on the Whiffers row, where you have the pitchers, their expected Ks, expected strikeouts for based on the Moonshots projections. And then again, we have the DraftKings Sportsbook feed coming in that will give us the lines, the over-unders, those odds, and then also for the price picks. So we'll have the price pick line in here as well. So give you a good starting point to look and go, okay, maybe I need to do some over-unders on these sites based on these projections here. So help you identify some good plays. And again, this is just the beginning. We have a number of things that we want to start incorporating into the site whether it be tools or data that's saying, here's who you need to be playing. Here's a percent of or percentage of them actually going over this particular projection, for example. Trends. This is the entire all players. So you can quickly and easily just click a button up here to filter out. If you want to see how player has done over the last 30 days, there's their data. Last 30 days, number of games. We could sort this by K rate, for example, or actually let's do something a little more fun. Barrel per plate appearance. So in the last 30 days, Ryan O'Hearn. Now here's a good example where you might want to do some filtering, right? So we've got Ryan O'Hearn. These are on the top 90th percentile. He's top of the heap. But in the last 30 days, he played 10 games. Maybe we want to see anybody that's had, 75 plate appearances during that time span. That's a little more realistic now. We got Jordan Alvarez, Tasker, and then Judge and Brandon De La Cruz on down. So that's how you do the the sorting, filtering. Also on here, you can hit reset, and that puts the grid back to its original default state. I can also click hot or cold. This will, based on certain data points, algorithms, metrics, weightings across many different data points. This is kind of just a quick look of who's really done really well, like who's checked these boxes over the last 5 games. And actually, it's beyond that, but we do show their last 5 days worth of data here, so you can decide if you want to dive into someone a little deeper based on what the output you've seen here in their last 5 games. And then conversely, for the cold side, these are guys that have really kind of stunk it up over the last 5 to 15 days based on those various data points, like the deltas between certain data points and whatnot. The stats drop down. The rest of these items here really correspond with what we see in the advanced stats menu item here. So hitter splits, which we'd seen at the very beginning, showed some of this. Kind of show it again here real quick. Slow. All right, so what we have on here, we've got just those same quick filters. I can click versus lefty versus righty. If you want to see just filter versus today's hand, you can do that. Reset that and kind of see that happen. So this will filter out the players versus, they're going to see some lefties and righties in here, which we do. So this is showing you the players, their stats versus that pitching hand for that day. And then you can also check, filter the confirmed starters. So you can see those that are actually in the starting lineup, if you wanted to kind of, do some sorting and filtering on that data in here. Pitcher splits, again, kind of more of the same as the hitter. These are all very similar. Certainly the look and feel. The data is very consistent. I won't go into details on too much of this. It should make sense for the most part. Hitter percent ranks. We talked about those percentile rankings earlier with the conditional formatting. Well, here's a data representation of that. So here we have the percentile ranks across, I don't know how many are here, 25 to 30 different data points. So if I want to see barrels per plate appearance, I can sort that descending. I can see the highest one on top. So you can see Judge, he's number 1 in barrel per plate appearance. Jordan second, Trout, Schwarber, Stan, and so on. So you'll be able to see the percentile rankings across different data points. Now what's kind of neat about this too is you can also filter out. Let's say we want to take anybody that's in the top 75th percentile. So I filter down, we get down to 70 rows. So I want to see the top 75th percentile in barrel per plate appearance, and I also want to see take walk percent. Anybody has a walk percent of, that's a little low. Also, oh, percentile ranks. My apologies. Anybody that's in the 80th percentile for walk rate. Okay, and so on. So you'd be able to kind of do the same thing across any one of these. Let's say, oh, I don't know. This one's kind of a easy one. We want to take somebody that's on the 80th percentile in K rate as well. So here we go. We get down to Juan Soto and Freddie Freeman that meet those three conditions. So, 80th percentile in K rate, 80th percentile in barrels per plate appearance. Actually, I think it was 80th percentile in walks and then 70th percentile in barrel per plate appearance. You get the idea. Pitcher percentile ranks, exact same thing. So I won't spend any time on this one, but same thing. It's the same data points. There's criteria that has to be met here. So for hitters, I think we had it set at 300 or 350 plate appearances as a minimum. Pitchers, 75 innings pitched to be able to, to make the cut, make the list here. That way it doesn't dilute. So you don't want someone in there that has 3 innings pitched. It's going to dilute your percentile ranks for those that actually do have a larger sample. Active bullpens is going to be empty. Again, we don't know who the active bullpens are yet. We'll revisit this page with another video another time once we do have that information here, because there's some interesting things on here that I want to touch on and showcase that are very, very cool. Hitters trends, we've seen that. Batting order metrics. This is a look or a view into how hitters have done in the different batting orders. So for example, if we wanted to see, barrel per plate appearance, we'll stick with that one. So I sorted barrel per plate appearance descending. So this top one's on top, and I want to see who was the best hitter when they batted 6th and barrel per plate appearance. Again, we got a issue here with plate appearance. We got one guy with 1. Let's raise that up. I want to see guys that batted 125 times from the 6th hole. And there we are. Matt Chapman led the league in barrels per plate appearance while batting 6th. I can also reset this and just click through each one of these. You can kind of see how that filters based on the batting order. Okay. There is another section here, these pitch types, and this is a ton of data. This is a breakdown of every pitch type from every pitcher by splits, where you're able to see, like, so for example, we've got Jose Abreu, right? He's listed, I don't know how many times here, many times. Let's just take this out, filter him out. So we've got 24 Jose Abreu's here, who's now with the Astros. Here's how he fared versus left-handers versus the four-seamer slider. Also, we have the bucketing or the grouping of those fastballs, off-speed breaking. So you can quickly see, by lefty, righty, those how he fared versus each one of those pitches by those hands. And it was the same thing with the pitchers here for the pitcher summary. Hitters detail, same data, different view. So here we have Jose Abreu. I see that one still shows White Sox. So I've got a bug there I got to fix. But again, this shows, versus lefty and righty, how he's done. Where are we at? Lefty, righty. So the four-seamers, so on this line here. And again, one other thing I want to point out too, I clicked on that row and it highlighted that row. You can highlight multiple rows if you're trying to maybe keep your eye on something. Again, there's a lot going on here. Or if you need to remove one, you just press Control and click on it again. And to actually add more, you would click Control and click on the ones that you want to add. If you're on a Mac or Apple, I'm not quite sure what the Control key is there. Maybe it's Command, I think. I'm not quite sure. But at any rate, you can select multiple rows here just like you would on most sites or Excel, for example. So again, just another way to view those pitch types data. And then by zone, really the same thing, same data, just a different representation. And this one's broken down by the StatCast zone. So I think it's called the game day zone. So where in the strike zone was that pitch? So you can see now we got Jose Abreu in here probably 100 times because we got each one of these pitches, how he did when that pitch was in that zone. So you got the up zone, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is mid zone, and then 8 is down in the zone. So you can see here he never seen any pitches in zone 7 or 9 four seamers, which is a little surprising. So something I'll look into. But again, I'd be able to kind of dive into some of the data that we have here. Player search. Up here we have a search to type full text search, meaning if I want to look for trout, I can just start typing trout. It's going to find trout. Now, what if I want to kind of filter down my list here of just Yankees? I can type NYY. Now I see just the Yankees here, right? Because it's looking for the, and wherever in that where that string exists within that string, it'll search on that. I'm looking at anybody named Mike. There's your Mikes. Okay, and then clicking that name takes you to that player page. That player search dropdown also exists on that player page as well. My profile, I mentioned this a couple of times. So there's a few things on here I want to point out. First being this member ID here. So when you reach out to me and have some issue or problem, or maybe you're having issues with your login or subscription or something like that, I'm typically going to ask you for your member ID. That's this crazy long string of numbers and letters. It's unique, so that ensures, helps ensure security. So I will ask you for this number. When I say need your member ID, that's typically what I'm talking about. I'll let you know otherwise if not. Subscription plans, we'll talk more about these in a moment, but you would see the plan that you're subscribed to listed here, and then a link to the available plans. Right now we have just the free one until after the season starts. We'll have some plans introduced in March ahead of the season, so you're aware of what's coming up when the season does start. But the point there is you'll be able to see what plans are available if you're maybe on a free plan or you want to upgrade to a different one. Renewed or purchased on, this is where you can get your receipt. And I think I got a test one in here. Yeah, here's a test I did the other night. So you'll be able to get your invoice, not really your invoice, but your receipt from when you subscribed. So you'll always have that available. If you had questions or problems or concerns, get that, reach out to me, and I'll make it right with you and get your issue taken care of. Discord invite. So there's an invite link here in your My Profile page. You click that, you're taken to Discord, and then you're in with the rest of everyone else. It's free. It's always free. That's always going to remain free. There might be some membership channels or subscriber channels that we implement at some point. I don't know, but I definitely want the community to be free and accessible for anybody that wants to join and hang out and chat and talk baseball and whatnot, and pick the brains of the guys that are writing articles, the guys that know way more than me when it comes to game theory and building lineups and that type of thing. So if you recall back at the onset of this, we talked about conditional formatting and how you can turn that off in your My Profile page. Here we are. That's that setting. So if you don't want to see those reds and greens and pinks and light greens all over the place, you can uncheck that. It auto saves. So now that's turned off on the site. Show optimizer tools. Again, maybe you don't want to use the optimizer. You want no part of the buttons or the pieces that go with that optimizer on the projections page. You can turn that off as well. And then those sports books, I talked about the DraftKings sports books, where you'd see that on the lineups page. I didn't mention that. It's on lineups. At the top, you'll see the sports books section at the top of each lineup, and then also that sports book section there on that game day or the first look page, where you can remove that entire section, not have that display. Maybe you don't have any interest in sports books. Maybe it's not available where you live. So not forcing you to look at it, but if that's something you wanted to do, you can certainly do so. That is one of the few things that's available only to subscribers. Right, so you'd have to be a paid subscriber in order to be able to turn that on. It's off if you are not a paid subscriber. Same with the price picks props. So when we're looking at that Whiffers row, we want to show the price picks K prop in there. You won't see that if you have this unchecked or if you're not a paid subscriber. Okay. Talking about the subscriptions, it's usually fairly simple. We don't have a bunch of tiers. In fact, we don't have any tiers. It's either free or you pay. Now, what you pay is either going to be like a daily subscription. I think last year we did one. It was cheap, like $1.50. I think I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't very much. A weekly subscription, a monthly subscription, or the season long. Prices on those are still being they're TBD. I won't know until probably March, probably mid to maybe closer to a week before opening day, which is March 30th. I will know what those prices are, and that will get communicated out. And then you'll see those also on here on the subscription page as well. So again, some of that's dependent on the partnership and collaborations that I've mentioned before. So there's some things in flux there or in flight there. Once those kind of get ironed out, kind of have a better idea where the price points are going to be on some things that we're working through. Let's see here. Speaking about free, so if you wanted to stay on the free plan, certainly welcome to do so. The free plan does give you access to everything on the site. Everything you see, you have access to every tool, every page. There's no pages that you don't have access to. We're probably going to make all articles free this year too. Don't hold me to that, but I'm leaning towards that right now. There might be a few that we elect to not make free. I don't know yet. But the point is, if you're on the free plan, you can get to every page on the site. You're saying, what's the catch? The catch is the data sets are limited. So for example, if there's a 15-game slate that day, maybe only 4 or 5 of those games will be available to you to dig into. So if I were to go to projections, I'm on the free plan, I go to projections, and I'm looking to see all 15 games. I'm only going to see 5 of those games. So you at least get an opportunity to experience the tools and kind of see how they work, in hopes that maybe you want to upgrade and pay for the full data set for the full experience. It's got to keep the lights on, as they say, right? I want to expand the server. There's a number of other things I want to do and need to do, none of which is free. So for those that have been loyal subs dating back to 2020, I appreciate you. And I hope that you continue on with us for 2023 and on. So kind of going through some of my notes here. Again, I don't do this. I'm not a YouTube guy, so bear with me. Hopefully this is going smooth for you. Let's run into a closing. As I mentioned, kind of thank you. If you have ideas or suggestions on what you think we should include or improve on, let me know. We need your continued support. Please share this video far and wide. Even more importantly, share your experiences and interactions with the site far and wide. The best way for us to improve is your constructive criticisms, and the best way for us to grow is your positive experiences being shared with others. If you have a problem, let me know, and I will do everything I can to fix it. Those that have worked, or actually those that have been around the site for the past few years, there's been a couple of hiccups. There's been some tough spots. I've always tried to make it right with whatever the situation is. I want this to grow. I think this has a lot of legs, and I appreciate your support and certainly want it going forward. So I appreciate all of you, appreciate your time, and I look forward to you watching the next video. Thank you.